Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Let me show you something.
Good morning.
You mean you don't trust the police?
Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Hold on.
This is the latest dispatch.
All right, there we go. That sounds better. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 26, 2022. And we are here in the Java Cafe for Testimony Tuesdays. There's it's Testimony Tuesday, but there's a couple of things that I noticed online that I think we need to talk about today. Very interesting activities and happenings. One in New York. Also, LeBron James and the mayor may possibly have a visit. Mayor Wu has extended a invitation to LeBron James to come hang out in Boston because LeBron James had some things to say about Celtics fans. There's this whole thing going on with Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown. They're thinking about trading Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant. I don't know who's down there doing what, but let's go in the Java Cafe and say good morning and see who's in. Sister Debbie, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Marion, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Mama Java as well. Stan, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Good to see you. Lainey, good morning. Good to see you in the room as well. Lawrence, so interesting that you're on because I purposely used the track you did today because I saw you last night. Good to see you, brother. Hopefully traveling safe and everything like that. Sharon Cornelius, Sharon, we had that soprano that you mentioned mic'd for a reason. I saw your comment. I was like, oh, Jesus. No, that was intentional. Rena, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Tasha, good morning. Good to see you in the room. I didn't see you in rehearsal last night, Tasha. I'm only messing. Lawrence, terrible trade. That's what I'm going to say to you, brother. Terrible that you said that's a terrible trade. Got to see Brother Lawrence last night, and we'll talk about the rehearsal in just a couple of seconds. But it is Testimony Tuesday. So while I'm running my mouth, do me a favor and just take a couple of seconds and share something in the comments for which you were dealing. And you're currently accomplishing it, or you accomplished it. Just share that with us, and we can check in. Lainey said that she is glad to be alive today. Absolutely. Lainey, did you used to sing? Because I could, it would be nice seeing your face in the place too next Monday. All right, so let's go in this order. Let's get sort of the local stuff out of, I won't say out of the way, but, out of the way. Lainey, good morning. Good to see you. Not Lainey. Dina, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Props, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Teresa, good morning. Good to see you in the room. So, last night we had the rehearsal. It was well attended. And it was just interesting being back in community with a lot of people that you have not seen in a while. And I'm going to try to get a little bit of the video ready to show you guys. Now, you know how sometimes my computer likes to act up, but let's see if we can get just a couple of seconds of the video for you guys and see what happens here. But yeah, we had probably about 40 people last night. And Heidi, you're all right. We'll see you next Monday. Deidre, good morning. Good to see you in the room. We'll just see you next Monday. But yeah, let me show just a little bit of that footage from last night. And then we're going to talk about, speaking of church, there's something else I'm aware of that. And I saw a comment in a group that I'm a part of. Well, I'll share that part with you later. All right, let's go. I think we got sound. I think we're good. Just a couple of seconds of this here. But this is a little clip from rehearsal last evening. I'm going to speed it up a little bit to the good part. All right, that's enough of that. So definitely consider coming out and being a part of this next week. Definitely a good time, and we sound pretty good. So next week's the last rehearsal. So speaking of church, as I said before, let me get some music back on here. I'm in a group yesterday, and this group is I'm looking in the group yesterday or the day before, and I see a post of a picture of what's called an adjutant. An attendant to a pastor, well, technically should be to a bishop. And the picture was of a young man sitting in the corner with his Bible on his lap, on his knee. So I'm looking at the caption on the picture, and it says, "I don't understand how he's sitting still," or something like that. This was from the church robbery in New York. When I tell you all that immediately I knew 99.9%, let me be honest, I had an idea of what church was robbed in New York. When I lived in New York in 2014, I saw this man on social media and saw he was doing work in the community there in Brooklyn and was like, okay, I friended him. So Facebook, Instagram, since like 2014, and watched his progress from pastor to bishop. His wife's a bishop now. And so what happened was, and it made CNN, and he's done a couple of lives because now he's on Larry Reed's radar. So Bishop Lamar Whitehead out of New York was preaching last Sunday, and his church was robbed. He was robbed. And he said about $400,000 worth of jewelry. And he said they put a gun in his 8-month-old daughter's face. Other family members, he said that they were traumatized. And my allergies are acting up, excuse me. And unfortunately, there's now this ever-going chatter about, churches and pastors and money and income. And the other thing that's interesting is he got on Larry Reed's radar. If you all don't know who Larry Reed is this commentator, churchy, I'll say gossipy type brother. And so Bishop Lamar Whitehead does have a big following. Like, I looked at the live I watched yesterday and just went back and checked it out last night, and it was like 75,000 views. So he does have a following. And I've watched him. He drives a Rolls Royce. He wears, when I say jewels, this brother wears jewels. His bishop ring, his chain with the cross on it. I mean, he and he's come up through the streets. And I personally don't see anything wrong with, if you're using, because my perception is that there are other streams of income that he has, not just the church. So anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that, but I'll say it, he's kind of flashy. And so I think that caught the attention of, y'all know what, y'all better get Pastor Marion. She said bling bishop. Where's props for this one? I'm surprised he missed that. Bling bishop. Yeah, so they went and got some of his bling, him and his wife's, and they went under his robe and felt if he had chains and whatnot. So he's been live a couple of times, and him and Larry Reed are going at it. And so I watched a couple of the lives, and he made a statement that I had to comment on the live, and people have engaged with it and liked it. He said that Larry Reed was a gossiper and acting like a woman, like when women gossip. And I said, bruh, you want to be careful of the gender inference in your statement there, because men are some of the biggest gossipers. So don't just attribute that to women. So anyway, that's going on with Bishop Lamar Whitehead. CNN said that they stole $1 million worth of jewelry and things. He said that's a lie. They didn't have the facts straight. And so keep up with that. I'll be keeping up with it as well and keep you guys abreast of it. And of course, the media would bring up his entire past, Heidi, but his past is a testimony. I mean, the brother came up through the street, and if you follow him or see him, he rocks with people like 50 Trench, and all of that. So he is, and he does do some community work that I mean, I noticed him when I lived in Brooklyn doing that. That's why I friended him. So, you know, and that was in 2014. So yeah, Prop said all this church talk I can't hear about pastor in Brooklyn. Somebody get Props. That's exactly what we're talking about. Sharon, he slandered gays also. And Sharon, just the way he slandered gays. The gays. No, I'm messing. See, yeah. Laney said, tell it, James, some men run their mouths too. Uh-oh, Teresa. Oh God, y'all not going to go in on us. I'm just saying. He got to be balanced. Rachel, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Barry said, Google him. Dina, all I have to say is I hope with all that he spent on jewels that he also put into his parishioners. And so that was a large part of the conversation. And that's always a topic when you have a successful pastor. I think TD Jakes has got past it. People don't say as much about him because TD Jakes has like multiple. I'm going to say this and get in trouble. A wise pastor will not only depend on the income that the church might be able to give them a salary. They're going to have other streams of income. They may have to still work. And if you're paying your pastor a full-time salary, then they need to be full-time, 40 plus hours a week. And prayer and their personal devotion ain't a part of those hours. Well, I don't know. It might be. Some people may consider. Yeah. As I guess, I don't know. But so there are men and women of God that have different streams of income that they don't do what they do from the church's income. That's fact. Now, have there been some people, men and women of God, that have messed up and made a mockery of the things of God and of finances? And so there's automatically this thing where he's getting the jewels from the church's account. Brother's well connected. I don't know, but first of all, how can I say this? When I do see him online at the church service, if you were to equate the membership and presumably everybody's tithing, I don't think they bought him the jewelry. I'm going to take a sip before I get in trouble. I don't think there's a lot of people there. So therefore, I don't think he got enough people even give him money to try to get the jewelry and keep the lights on. And I mean, the church itself looks nice. So I don't know how they keeping him blinged out in the church too. Anyway, I'm going to get in trouble, Jesus. And we got a pastor in the room that can come. Well, let me say something about this man of God here. I told you all a couple of years ago, I was watching a service and it was during the pandemic, and Pastor Drumright was like, there are people here that need medicine and need food. So deacons, about 4 deacons was sitting up front or standing up front with cash. And he told the people to come up front. If you need money for medicine, or if you need money for your bills, come up and the deacon's going to give you some money. And it wasn't $20. And so we got to have balance between what's happening with some people that don't do right, and there are people that are still really doing ministry. All right, let me get in here. Ma said, good morning, the Keys. Heidi says, what got me? The saints, instead of praying, trash in the adjutant. So Heidi, I got to be 100 with you. Lord Jesus, forgive my mouth. Heidi, You know, if something went down like that in 3840 Center Street, you know, we ain't going to jump on nobody with a gun if we ain't strapped. But I would not be sitting there with my Bible on my lap, stoic. So I'm a part of an adjutant group, and there's been conversations in the adjutant group about whether adjutants should be strapped or not, whether adjutants should have a gun in the church, because these robberies are happening more. And so I get the comment about the adjutant, because I'll be honest, I looked at the video of the robbery, and he didn't look. I don't know if he was sitting there praying in the spirit. I don't know what he was doing. But Heidi, you know that none of us would have been sitting there chilling. And if someone had filmed that at New Life, what you would have seen of me, I'll speak for me, is that you would have, like, the critique around me would have been, yo, Jimmy looked like he was about to pop. Like, more like, Jimmy, you need to chill because they got a gun. Like, so I get from an adjutant standpoint, the concern about the adjutant, you know, not looking as I don't know. Lainey said, do they work? I believe she's talking about the pastor, Bishop Whitehead. I don't know if he is a consultant, and he does a lot of stuff with government and all of that, and self-help, and Google him. He's an interesting brother. Teresa is saying someone in his church, and I'm gonna leave that right there. Can't spend my grandmother's fixed income on offending. So this is such a touchy subject, because we can't presume that men and women of God's only income is the church. Now, in some cases, is it? I know of a pastor right here in Baltimore. Well, actually, I can't even say him. Our brother Matt Thompson is at a wonderful, thriving church where people give, and there's some very prosperous people that go to that church that tithe. But he's also an author, has land, and this came from his pocket. And so, do men and women of God have to, the Bible says, shun the very appearance of evil? But does a man and woman of God that's successful away from the church, wearing jewelry, brand names, is that evil? There's this other part of the conversation. When you want to challenge people to get out of a poverty mentality, you have to, quote unquote, look the part. Now, I can look the part with a Honda, one little bracelet, maybe a ring, and maybe a chain. Looking the part is the fact that your bills are paid, you have a roof over your head, you're taking care of your family, and you're a responsible, contributing citizen to society. But there's also this thing of, if you know, you want drug dealers to come off the street and they're used to the bling, you got to have somebody that exemplifies that you can still be a man and woman of God and look wonderful and not have to look like you're in poverty. Like, it's a touchy subject. Pastor Marion is going to tell us exactly how she feels. That young man was too flashy. Teresa said Creflo and his private jet. And again, Creflo is an author. And so is he getting residual income off his books? And Creflo was one of the first ones that people had an issue. First of all, his name is Dollar. Y'all know who Creflo Dollar's half brother is, right? Creflo Dollar got a well-known half brother. His name is 50 Cent. Anyway, Dina is saying you can have things, but if your church is successful in any way, I believe you should pour into the parishioners in some way. I don't know if he does that or not. I'm just saying. So minimally, what the pastor can do is make sure that their churches are taught about financial literacy. They need to be practicing it as well. One thing I loved about Bishop Bragg received a salary from the local church and also the national church. But I can tell you unequivocally, Bernard Bragg was full-time, did the work of ministry over 40 hours a week. But then he would take off of what he was given and tie that right back into the organization. Man, please. I remember times I went to Bishop one day because he was getting the church fixed up, and he was writing checks out of his personal, checkbook. He would tell me go get his checkbook or whatever. And he was writing some very significant checks to pay for the labor, pay for the supplies. So there are men and women of God that are investing in ministry. But the first investment a leader can do is make sure that their church members have financial literacy. The church should often have a mission fund. The Bible talks about taking care of the widows, sharing, that talks about this often, taking care of the widows. There should be that when I was growing up, there was the missionary and deacon offering or something like that. That was the fund to make sure if a widow needed something, groceries, a light bill paid. But let me interject this. There's also the responsibility of the individual to practice good stewardship over their money. We can't get away from that. It is not the pastor's responsibility to come in your house and do your budget, financial literacy, and then you have to be a good, let me take it to the word, be a good steward over your finances. And we all have not always done well with that. Anyway, I don't know how I got here this morning. Oh boy, there's a lot of comments that I'm missing. Okay, I need to catch up. Sharon said, Larry Reed tells the whole story about him, also about how he gets his income. Now, listen, let's understand that Larry Reed is a little bit of a shock job. Larry Reed's brand is messy. He gossip. The church inquirer. That's kind of his brand. No judgment call. I've watched the brother a couple of times, looked at his stuff and like, it didn't walk away with any lessons, but and also understand that Larry Reed and he have, I think they got it passed. They've he said they just met. Larry Reed is saying that he's the reason that he's on CNN and fame. Y'all got to go back and watch Bishop Whitehead's videos from yesterday, because I was sitting there like, and you can see that Bishop Whitehead come from the street, because that was anyway. Heidi said, "Prop, the tithe is for the church." Tithe is the Hebrew word for tenth. A tenth of your income goes into the church to support the ministry of the church. And there's a whole conversation about whether tithing is still in the New Testament. Was it the Old Testament? Listen, I'm not going to go into that. Y'all can go research Malachi 3:1. Heidi, help me. Malachi, it talks about bring your tithes and or offering into the storehouse. Mama Java said the way he showed the man sitting there, just mom. Angie, good morning. Good to see you last night. One of the wonderful artists that's being featured on the Mayor's Gospel Fest is in the room. Angie, good to see you. Good to see you last night as well. Belinda said, what did I miss? Who's spending money on jewelry? Google Bishop Lamar Whitehead, Belinda. It was good seeing you last night too. Leslie, good seeing you last night as well. Good to see you in the room. All right, here we go with the gun talk from people who are against guns. Listen, when I just brought it up, the group that I'm talking about, they're not against it. They're basically like every church, one of the deacons, somebody needs to be strapped, because with the economy, with poverty, what's going on in this community, where we may see more of these incidents come up. Do I believe that Lamar Whitehead was targeted? Probably. Is there a hater component that could possibly be a part of this? They didn't rob the church. From my understanding is they didn't take money. They just went and robbed him and his wife. Does kind of sound like it could be a little personal, targeted. Could be. Laney said the young man probably froze scared. Everyone reacts differently, and that's fair. Fight or flight. And he probably in his mind went on flight, because the adjutant in me looked at him and I was like, there was no body language to where like, I can only speak for me. Angie said someone needs to be carrying. So props to your point. There's people in here that believe in carrying. Stacy, we don't know if he was totally unbothered, but he did look like it. Props. All right. Folks are in here like they should be able to carry. Heidi said you would have been shot. I mean, I wouldn't have jumped on nobody, but y'all know me. I would have been over there fumbling, fitting like, and yes, a little spiritual to the blood of Jesus and praying and all that, but ready to jump. Yeah. First of all, how they get to him. All right, y'all getting Mama Java started. All right, Belinda, yes, they should. Again, should be adjutants should be trained in martial arts and have a weapon. Tashad, good morning, Tashad. Why do you have 400 to 1 million worth of jewelry on you? Not blaming the alleged victim, but if you blinged out, wouldn't you think that they would make you a target? That's a good point. That's a valid question. And because of his past, you don't. Will we find out in a couple of weeks who did it and get a story that whoever did it, and he may have had some past issue from back in the day? Highly likely. I know one thing, he's down with 50 Cent. Y'all might see a movie about this. Him and 50 are tight. My boo is licensed to carry to church. First of all, Angie, I didn't know you had a boo. Congratulations. She said he's licensed to carry to church. She said to church and beyond. I feel bad for the adjutant. It's easy for us to say what he should have done. Never been in the predicament, so we wouldn't say what we would have done. Laney, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. Tasha, natural reaction. He saw multiple weapons and multiple suspects. True. Sharon, there's a story behind the Brooklyn Bishop. Sharon and Pastor Marion, y'all are not playing. My pastor dad owned his own business and had a job. He didn't take a salary from the church until he retired. So there's folks out there that men and women of God, leaders that don't get salaries, and their bling and their success in life is not from the church. So we got to, has there been bad in the past? Yes, but we also got to recognize and celebrate the fact that there are some people that are doing it right. And Mama Java said security, period. Laney said the bishop's jewelry is insured. He'll be all right. Wonderful. Props. Why don't you think conscious rappers wear jewelry? You can't entertain people with you can't entertain people with less than you and flash it in their face if you preach about struggle. So Props brings up a good point that there's the aspiring and looking successful and all that other stuff. And then there's sort of the humble. I think that what Props is referring to now, that, the conscious rappers wear jewelry. You can't entertain people with less than you and flash it in their face. And if you're preaching about the struggle. Stacy said, y'all better leave Creflo Dollar alone. And Tashad, if you're going to be wearing that much jewelry, you either got to be carrying something or carrying somebody with you who's say a word there. No, Props, I'm not justifying no thieves. What I'm trying to say is that if we give conjecture. We look at stuff and we're not having all of the information. We make presumptions. And so that's what we're doing right now. So definitely not. And especially putting a gun in an 8-month-old's face or near the 8-month-old that I presume his wife was holding to get the jewelry off of her. She just became a bishop less than a year ago. So she probably had a bishop's ring and the cross and the chain as well on. And it wasn't First Sunday. No, it wasn't First Sunday. So they didn't have any extra stuff on. Heidi said he gave his life to ministry. He took money from the household to finance ministry. She talked about Bernard Bragg. Laney said, tell us, James, Bishop Bragg, new business and ministry. Let me tell y'all something. Bishop Bragg, new business. We talking about New York. I'll just say this. At the funeral, I wound up being able to have a conversation with Bishop's brother. Y'all talk about a Don and whatever. Bishop's brother pulled me aside. And he said, let me tell you about Bernard. Bernard was a true man of God, but he let me handle the other stuff. He said we would be in a meeting and Bishop would say what he needed to say and he would back up and he would walk out. And then I would step in and handle the rest. So Bishop knew business and how to handle it. Well, my pastor has a very expensive car and nice home. The church also does so much for everyone. So it doesn't matter. They give scholarships, assistants, house elders. And so it's not the individual pastor's responsibility to fund the parishioners and take care of the parishioners. Did Bernard Bragg do it? Often, but it is the church's responsibility to address issues of those dealing with poverty, to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, take care of the widows and the orphans. That is the church's responsibility. Stacy, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Good to see you. Sharon said, me and Lasagna Hart is waiting. What y'all waiting for, Jesus? Do I owe y'all something? Sharon. I know what you mean, Sharon. I know what you mean. Laney said, preach, James. Belinda said, Bishop Bragg was the epitome of stewardship, believed in ownership. But let me tell y'all something about Bishop Bragg. Right now here in my room, I don't know how many, because I don't know if you remember said not to count them, but Bishop had this philosophy. $1 bills don't leave your house. So every $1 bill that comes in my house, it gets stacked. And right now there's a Bernard Bragg taught us how to save. There is a stack. I ain't gonna lie. It's probably about this big, because every once in a while I'll take it out, straighten it out. I'm doing good at not counting it. I'm so tempted to count it. But he was a good steward, so much so that he taught his sons little tricks. After you get $25 of the $1 bills, you put it in an envelope, and you get 4 of those, and you put those in an envelope, and that's 100. And you keep just doing that. Bishop Bragg would take his change and save all of his change, and then somewhere around the end of September, he would go and turn it in, and that would be enough money, for him to do stuff at convocation. So to your point, Belinda, he was a good steward and cleaned it. And Bishop did clean the church. Oh God, I'm not going to get too much into that. Stacy, under grace now, we get to tithe. Now, are you saying got or get to? All right, so here's pastor. Ministry, godly service in the interest of that. Here, we're going to get some teaching real quick. Ministry, godly service in the interest of others with the aim of helping others realize their full God-invested potential should be the highest priority. Corporate worship is wonderful, but ministry... And the people said, amen. Thank you, Pastor Drumright. Thank you. Glad to be there. Props. No, I'm not making no, come on. Bishop White had turned that young man who killed someone on a he did work with that. And the thing that's interesting is my understanding per CNN, that he drove up to that event in his Rolls Royce. And so he even alluded to the fact as, or it wasn't him or CNN. It was CNN, alluded to the fact that maybe that brought him to the attention of the perpetrators. I would have been in rapid tongues. Stacy, James, you're scared to see pictures of guns. Stop with the tough talk. How many times you rejected my range offers? I don't do it. And I ain't scared of no darn gun pictures. I just don't have an affinity for guns. There's no reason for me to go to the range. It's just not an interest of mine. Never been. Probably never will be. And 69. Tell me what you mean there, Stacy. Stacy Regina Joe, it's easy to say what you would do when you're not in that situation. That's been some of the comments here as well. And she said, and leave Pastor Matt out of this. Listen, Pastor Matt is a good example of that. There are men and women of God that had other streams of income and are still doing so. Listen, I got good stories about some men and women of God that have made investments from the personal and from their ministry to me. So, all right, folks, I'm going to get ready to wrap up. According to the media, the police arrested the man without Whitehead's help. The other piece is the media is saying $1 million worth of jewelry. He's saying it was $400. So, though being a small microcosm of the media, we got to, consume media wisely. We get to tithe. Got you. Not got to, we get to. So did my dad. He was the epitome of an example. I remember Pastor Anderson, right? Pastor Marion. Good morning, Queen. All right. We are wrapping up for today. The last thing I wanted to talk about, one, thank God the heat wave is over. I think it is. Hey, Siri, what's the weather today?
It's currently clear and 75 degrees. Expect cloudy skies starting at noon. Temperatures will be fairly consistent, averaging about 74 degrees.
So we dropped about 20 degrees today, y'all. So the heat wave is over. Hopefully, not many of you dealt with a lot. I know I was part of the little blackout the other day. I was about to go out because I couldn't sit in here with no air conditioner. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown, and LeBron James made a statement about Celtics fans being racist. it's a general statement. I'm a Celtics fan, so I can't be a racist. LeBron James should understand that there are black people in Boston who are Celtics fans, and black and brown people can't be racist. So, bruh, no, that's not the case. Are there racists who are also Celtics fans in Boston? Absolutely. And so he's made the statement. And Michelle Wu is like, hey, bruh, come and let me show you. Now, let's also keep it 100 that these white Nazi what is it? CN 131, Chris Hood. There was the incident at West Roxbury yesterday where they basically stepped on a counter protester. There have been 2 white supremacist marches in Boston within the past 45 days. One downtown and one in JP. Y'all know they haven't showed up in Roxbury and Dorchester yet, right? Tell them to come to Nubian Square. Tell them to come to Cobden Square. Tell them to come to Mattapan Square. Mr. Hood, Chris Hood. And so I don't know if LeBron is going to come. I don't know if him and Michelle are going to get into a Twitter war or whatever, but just wanted to bring that up as well. The bishop told Larry Reed to listen. Bishop Whitehead, Sharon Cornelius. I said yesterday, you saw that hood about to come up out of him. So oh my God. All right. I'm going to get ready to go. Laney said, sit down, LeBron, you cry, baby. Oh my Jesus. Key said, it's going to be high 80s later this week, though. That's not too bad. Better than the 90s. That's what I was saying. They're not coming to the hood, Stacy. They know where to go. They know where to go and where not to go. But then if they come to the hood and the hood reacts, we are the bad ones. And Dina, that's true. The other piece is there's this commentary out there that Boston police can't really protect the counter protesters because they would need to go home and change their clothes to get back in regular civilian clothes. There's some speculation that some of our own BPD are part of these groups. Possibly there was BPD officials that was at the insurrection in DC. So, all right, folks, I'm going to wrap up. Monica would have spoken up about it by now. I believe she did. If she hasn't, I know that's right. Stacey said, I know that's right. They about to be smacked down if they come to the hood. Listen. All right, folks. And always, you know, if this does happen in the hood and, you know, we're referring to the fact of coming to certain parts of Boston, you always got to take care of yourself and practice safety, even in the outrage, even in the feeling of they have the unmitigated gall to come and do this here in our community. You got to take care of yourself and be safe. And I guess, all right, the mother's board is ready. Sister Soraya said, we ready. Oh, Jesus. All right. With that being said, couple of programming updates. We're going to have Beckma with me tomorrow, and also the E for All out of Lawrence. I believe that Beckma is coming in tomorrow at 9 a.m. They were supposed to be here today. There was some mix up. And the mayor was supposed to come on at 9 a.m. tomorrow. She can't. Her team told me that they just gave me a vague, hey, we got to switch the mayor's time to 10 a.m. I was like, no, it's either 9 or 12. And if it can't, skip it. And so I wound up getting a little frustrated because then I wrote them back and I'm like, do y'all try to change the mayor's time with NPR and WGBH now? Am I NPR and WGBH? No. And so I wound up getting frustrated and I texted the mayor and I was like, yo, they canceled you again. And she was like, what? When was I supposed to come? And so I told her, and she I'm not going into detail, but she explained why she's doing 10 a.m. this week. And so she won't be with us tomorrow at 9. I was still a little frustrated. I was just like, skip July. We'll try again for August. So the mayor will not be with us tomorrow. But Beckman will be with us to talk about the AG debate that's coming up on Thursday evening. I've partnered with Beckman and we'll be able to cast that on Thursday evening from out. I forgot the college that we will broadcast that from, but that's taking place on Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. So look out for that. Don't forget on August 6th, I actually have a call at 10:30 to go over the logistics. We will be out on Blue Hill Ave for the City of Boston's Open Streets Fair that is taking place on August 6th. And then don't forget rehearsal on Monday. And then we have the Mayor's Gospel Fest on August 7th. Then on August 14th, your boy is, no, sir. I think that's it. Don't forget that the Black Men and Boys Commission is having a listening session that is taking place next Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Bruce Boland Building. And also, don't forget rehearsal on Monday for the Mayor's Gospel Fest. That is it for me. We will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Beckma. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for all your engagement and participation today. And we will see you tomorrow. Belinda, last comment. They are coming with guns. Be careful, y'all. This is why we need to be aware, trained, and licensed to carry. I know Props gave you a high five there. Stacy, yes, you can. Everybody that's in rehearsal on Monday can sing. All right. So you, even though you, and Stacy, you know these songs, and there's a few, little remix of Total Praise, but you'll be able to pick that up quickly. So come up and be right in the soprano section, ma'am. All right, folks, that's it for me. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day, everybody. And remember to make today some sort of testimony for you. You may be dealing with something. Let me ask you all to please pray for the McNeil family. That's actually part of the Winston and Washington side of my family. He's their father. And just I will tell you that y'all prayed because he is in better condition, but still continue to pray for the McNeil family. All right. Thank the Mothers Board that did that. Y'all went right into action, and I appreciate you.